all of that. So we are going live in just a few. It's preparing for live. We've had a lot of great sessions. A lot of people are enjoying the input, and they're going to be very excited about yours. Hold on. Let me just give me 1 second. So this is the okay. Here is the live stream, and I'm going to create a post on LinkedIn as well. But I just chatted all of you that too.
Oh, okay. Then unfortunately announced today that he's not going to run the.
We are live streaming.
People. The TPC. No, but that
right now.
I remember when you first got here. No, I didn't start. No, I mean, yeah. And now a lot of things mix. Back in 2006. Right next to this gentleman. Jim, I'm sorry to bother you, but
I don't, well, Nadia, I don't know what if you're on LinkedIn, but I can never find you on LinkedIn. So are you not on LinkedIn?
The door right. You don't know how much I absorb.
Are you on mute? You're on mute. So
I'm on mute. Yes, Josh, I am on LinkedIn, but I have to be honest that I'm not so good at it. So I'll be better. I'm on there.
What's your, I can't find, is it just,
It should just be Nadia Ott.
is it, I don't see a, I don't,
Might not realize.
I don't, no, I see a Nadia Ott with a, but there's no photo.
That's possible.
I'm gonna just leave you off for now because it's just, I don't know if it's the right.
That's fine. No worries.
Okay. Okay, and I'm going to.
Yeah, I would play Sioux Falls. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. You're gonna get pinged, Preeti and Wolfgang on
Really? You had a layover?
in a second on LinkedIn, and I'm gonna send you the link to that. Oh, hold on. I screwed up.
And we flew Omaha straight to Atlanta.
Let me just,
really,
I'm deleting that one. Sorry. Delete post. There. There.
Is that like 4.5 hours for you? No, it's only about an hour and a half or 2 hours. But
there we go.
The flight was at 6:10, so I was on by kind of OCD and wanted to get there by like 8. So I left like.
Give me a second. We still have time. People are not officially started yet. So
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm actually meeting with.
do you have a LinkedIn page for your product, Wolfgang and Nadia? No, I couldn't tag you either on that. So, but check out their, what's your website again there that you want to send people to product at?
Like distribution and stuff like that.
Our site,
Yeah, your site.
yeah, NOSK, NOSSK, NOSK.com. You have it on the picture there.
But it doesn't have the.
No, I know, but I'm just in the middle of typing it, so it's.
So NOSK.com, NOSSK.com.
NOSSK.com. I got it.
Yes.
That's it. Okay.
30-minute call with them. Then I can sign up.
All right. That's the link. That's the best I can do at this point. And then you're going to get this all on the chat. So you can all comment and like, because we are now live for the ethos. And then I'm going to get rid of all those. Go back to this full screen. And while hey, Jim, how we doing on time? Hi.
We're ready to go.
We're ready to go. Okay. Do you want to do like your
This group. All been here. Well, okay. You can just.
well, you can say hi to our folks there then.
Exactly.
Yes.
Hey, so glad to have you with us. Thank you. I'm going to say hi to them on behalf of Josh,
The man. So welcome, the last of our international e-commerce special track. We did 4, a new method, doing hybrid. That way we can bring in these outstanding experts that otherwise to fly in for, an hour and 15 minutes wouldn't make sense. And so this works out. We might try in the future, get some really top-notch expertise into the room. Thank you for being here. It's very interactive. So Josh Halpern is the top guy when it comes to international e-commerce, which is why we're glad to have him help moderate it. And he's been a big supporter of ASPDC for many years. So over to Josh.
Thanks, Jim. if you can take a photo of us at some point, they'll use it on social, by the way. Not now, like we're in the middle of action.
Okay.
An
I
action
understand,
shot.
I understand.
Okay, we're gonna start. Okay, thanks for joining everybody, and everyone out there on the live ethos. We are live streaming this. I want to give everybody a chance to do an intro of themselves, but I just want to say thanks again. We're going to talk a lot today about cross-border e-commerce fulfillment, so the D2C aspect of selling. One of the biggest challenges for our businesses is how do you fulfill an order? Most of them just do it at the USPS or however way, or DHL or FedEx. It's usually very cost prohibitive. There isn't necessarily a silver bullet for it, but there are better ways to do it than others. At the end of the day, it's a volumes game. That's what shipping is. But there are some companies, and you'll hear from one with Preeti, that have different revenue structures that can be beneficial for companies versus others, right? So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk with Wolfgang and Nadia about their specific company, because it actually was very apropos. I was talking to Preeti about this. We were talking about the conversation about what we're going to talk about here, and then I was counseling with Wolfgang and Nadia from I think you're an SBDC client as well, right, guys? Yeah, from where? What region are we again?
Northern California.
What's up, Northern California? So actually, I think I'm an advisor. I think I'm a listed advisor at Northern California. I should get paid for talking to you guys, but I don't need to because I just enjoy it so much. So we were talking, and they started talking about issues around fulfillment and some of the issues they were dealing with, really hands-on. So we said, wait, why don't you join the session? We'll talk about it live, and we'll do a little bit of a counseling on it. So we're going to witness that today. So with that, why don't we start with Preeti? Why don't you do a little quick intro of yourself? I'm going to go to that slide, and then we're going to go, and then I'll go back to Wolfgang and Nadia to kick us off.
Sure. Thank you, Josh. Hi, everyone. Very excited to be here to talk to you guys about international e-commerce. It's a passion of mine, and I love that I get to work in this domain, in this space, which is highly complex, but also interesting, and not have one single boring day in my life. I am in product management space, so I have about 15 plus years of experience in cross-border e-commerce. I have worked with marketplaces as well as large retailers. So eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Alibaba, I have worked with them, but also very large retailers in the US, in the UK, and in Australia. So J. Crew, Saks, Harrods, Neiman Marcus, some of the people that I've worked with, help them sell cross-border and ship cross-border, both of those things. Currently, I am working as a product leader with Passport Global. We are in the direct-to-consumer, D2C space, which is somewhat new for me for the past 2 years. So I'm learning a lot of new things here and getting to apply what I have learned over the past 15 years to this new market segment. And very excited to talk about this with you guys. Very nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Preeti. And yes, Preeti and I had a call. We were nerding out on a bunch of things, and she's got a wealth of knowledge. So I'm excited about that. We're going to take a step back to tell us, Wolfgang and Nadia, what amazing products have you, by the way, if anyone wants these products, I made this slide for you guys. It's on the left is the URL for that product. And then the middle is the URL for that product, and then the right. So if you are ever into exercise, don't buy something made in China when you can buy it right here on those URLs. With that, tell us about yourselves. First, how'd you get into this?
Josh, oh, thank you, Josh, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. And yes, I love you saying that about the Made in USA, because we're one of the few, I think, old-fashioned who still believe in Made in USA, and we think it's good and we think it's possible. And so if anyone wants to support Made in USA quality stuff, please visit those URLs. But I'll let Wolfgang. Well, let's go to the hand exerciser. How do we get into this? Well, the hand exerciser is actually, that's a FlexX. That's the one on the far right-hand side. And the way we got into this one was actually based on a personal story. I worked for years in an insurance company back in a previous season of life. And I had problems with my wrist and my hands, doing a lot of typing. and ended up with carpal tunnel type syndromes and had to go to therapy. And at therapy, they gave me this little rubber band thing that you put on your hand, and it would slide down off your hands, but it was supposed to be for helping strengthen your hands and for therapy for the hands. And they would give me these pieces of Play-Doh to make a little ring and put over my hands and open it up. And Wolfgang's a designer by profession. Since for years he's designed many things. And I went home and I showed it to him, and he said, "Gosh, that seems very impractical. I can come up with something better that is more beneficial, more functional." And so he and a friend actually designed and patented the FlexX hand exerciser, which actually we sell to clinics and to physical therapists and chiropractors. And the beautiful thing is everything from the beginning to the end, materials, production, packaging, all done here in the US.
100% US made.
Okay, awesome. Next product. I did ask you guys, by the way, to bring it on the video because we would like to see it. Did you have it nearby? Don't you have them like laying around?
You know, we actually have one hanging from
depends
which one. That's the hand
Fine, we'll take
exerciser.
it. Okay, so
And
okay, so you've got these products. You don't have to open it. I don't want you to waste the sale there.
All right, it's open already.
So you're currently where do you sell? So you've got these products. You have 3 different brands. We won't talk right now about that, but at some point, if you ever need somebody to talk about the IP issues and why you'd have 3 companies instead of 1 company, I think it's a fascinating story. Wow, look at your strong hands, Wolfgang.
yeah, he's got strong hands.
That's
And then
cool.
he's using the sport edition. That's for folks that have strong hands already and just want to strengthen them some more and keep them strong, because we all need strong hands.
Okay, and then the next product, real quick. What's the next? This one here?
These ones, isometrics. These are most.
These are okay. I get you guys get those. You guys see what those are. Again, all pretty easy for shipping. Just to bring it back to shipping, they're pretty light. Although FlexX is definitely the best. And then you've got this product here. I tried to screenshot, but you have on your website, it scrolls. I think you have one of you and Wolfgang doing this exercise on your website.
Yes.
And maybe one of your kids too. Okay.
Sure, that's true.
Okay, right down there. So strong. Okay. So what are the issues you have with shipping right now? Where do you ship to?
That's a great question. We ship everywhere. We ship internationally all across the world. And we sell on Amazon. So we shipped internationally through Amazon. Through our own website, we've been having a bit of I think a challenge, I would say, because we used to ship seamlessly pretty easily prior into Europe before they had a change in the whole tax laws and the UK split. And now we need an intermediary, somebody that comes in between that takes on that piece. I think it's called the ISOs, and somebody pretty correct me if I'm wrong. But we have found that as a small business with volume not up to such a substantial amount, it doesn't make sense, because we did speak to a tax intermediary. We spoke to Avalara, and the amount of what would have cost us didn't make sense for us as a small company at the time. And so we are kind of at a impasse, because a lot of customers actually approach us from Europe saying, "I want your product, we want your product." But we have not gotten around to being able to do that, because the cost doesn't make sense to have somebody in between that we have to pay to manage that piece for us. So that's our challenge. It's a huge challenge, actually.
Yeah.
Great. It's so encouraging to see Preeti shaking her head. I think we've got good
Yes.
answers here. Okay. Thank you. So then, Preeti, do you want to dive into a console? Do you want to go through your slides first, which will probably answer a bunch of these things first? What do you want to do?
Yeah, so this is so interesting that the flow of the slides kind of addresses what you're
Awesome.
talking about one by
Great.
one. I'm so glad that it is happening that way. But I would say, please stop me at any point if you have a specific question or you want to dive deep into a specific concept. Please stop me at any point, but let's go through
Great.
how I think a small business should set up their international. John,
Perfect.
go ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to skip this one. This one, you guys do it for a lot of people. You do it. You know what you're doing. We got that part.
Yes.
Yes,
Just so
great.
you know where I'm coming from. But to actually look at international, I want all of us business owners that are, selling something unique, take a step back and understand what your overall international, business opportunity is. So a lot of brands have, like yourselves, have unique products that you are selling, and a majority of your sales are coming from US domestic consumers. So we encounter brands such as yourself, on a daily basis, where maybe 5% of your volume is coming from international consumers, or even less than that. There is, whereas this could be as much as 20%. You can capture, you can make your entire pie bigger by building a kind of experience where you can get more international sales. So I want to talk about a few data points. You guys may have already seen this throughout, this 2-day summit, that there is a world of shoppers out there that are looking for products that you are selling. And a large majority of those shoppers are actually English speaking people. You don't have to, language does not have to be a barrier in you selling internationally. There are more English speaking people outside of the US than inside of the US. So don't think language as a barrier to selling internationally. Take that out of consideration, that I cannot sell in French, so let me not sell in France. So take that out of consideration. More and more shoppers are discovering products on social media, and so your reach is now bigger than what used to be. So this reach is bigger. It is easier to get to international consumers than it used to be in the past. And also, international consumers on an average order more than domestic, meaning your average order value of an international order is usually bigger than a domestic order. So you're not only getting more orders, but you're getting high AOV orders from your international consumers.
Great. Preeti,
I'll pause here for a second. Yeah.
No, I'm just going to stop there because obviously we're talking fulfillment today, but I just want to, I love this. I haven't seen this data point really. The average order value for someone buying something cross-border is, what does that mean by the plus $9 versus domestic? Because it's significantly larger, right?
Yes, it is larger. And this is just one data point. For some brands, it's as much as 30% extra than domestic.
Yeah, so 30% extra. And another data point that's very interesting is a lot of people talk about 95% of the world's consumers are outside the US. It's like that's great. That's also, that includes cave people. Like that's fine. That's a big data point. We've been saying it for, I think, 15 years. I've heard that data point. But what's really specific here is the global e-commerce sales captured by US brands. So it is minuscule compared to the total global e-commerce. That is much more interesting to me than this other one. I'll also say that when you deal with cross-border buyers, the reason why the average order value is so much higher is because they've taken a long time to make sure they want your product, because they're not sure if it's going to get there. Like they gotta make sure they believe in you. They've worked hard, and when they do purchase, they're also, not only the average order is higher because they think they gotta reduce or mitigate the price of shipping as a percentage of the total order, but they also are lifetime customers because the loyalty for cross-border customers is much higher than domestic, because they've committed to you. They haven't found 50 others that they want. You've delivered to them. But the number one reason why you can build that is going to be shipping, and the faith and the security they have that you're going to deliver it, and you're going to deliver it on time, and you're going to be accurate in the duties and taxes. I didn't want to cannibalize what you just said, Preeti, but I was just giving them a little taste.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to the next slide.
Okay. So we talked, Wolfgang and Nadia, you guys talked about where you are selling online, and you also have seen that you have a lot of demand in Europe. This is great. So for all business owners, what I want you guys to understand is it is super important to know where the demand is for your product. And there is a free tool out there called a Similar Web. You put your website in there, you put your product in there, and it tells you where is your traffic coming from, which country. It'll rank which countries is your traffic coming from. United States, Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, like where are your consumers? What is your ranking? What is your site ranking in every country individually? You can see what's my site ranking in the US versus what's my site ranking in Canada. So your site ranking in US may be low because there are other products in the US that are getting sold, but your site ranking in Canada may be super high. You should take advantage of this information when you decide which regions to sell. And I would say, don't try to sell everywhere in the beginning. In the beginning, try to figure out where your demand is and focus on the regions where your demand is. I'll pause here for a second. I know Josh wants
Yeah, I'm dying to touch.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
great. Similar Web, I've used it for years. It's great. What you're going to find, a lot of your clients don't have statistically relevant enough data on their site to show up in Similar Web, but choose a competitor. So Wolfgang and Nadia, what's a competitor to you that's massive? What's that bad company that's the yellow and black one? Are you on mute? You're on mute again, Wolfgang. They're the XRT. You guys know XRT?
TRX.
What is it called?
TRX.
TRX. So TRX probably shows up in rankings. So you throw that in Similar Web and see where TRX is showing up. And then you've got yourself a roadmap. I mean, what kind of crazy world do we live in that you figure out your competitor and you can tell where their traffic's coming from? Imagine 20 years ago, we talked about this in another session. Like you got a competitor down the road, you can find out where they're going, what they're coming from. So it's really exciting to look at those tools. Another tool you can use for Amazon, and I'm not saying to sell on Amazon, but if you go to Jungle Scout's another one, a Jungle and then SCOUT, you can actually see what's selling and what volumes and what price points for across the globe on Amazon. And then you don't have to sell on Amazon to know the information. If they're buying it in the country, you can go direct to consumer with that. Sorry, going. I'm shutting up now.
No problem. No, that's great addition. So, okay, so make sure that you're selling to the regions where the highest demand is, so you get most return on your marketing dollars, social media dollars that you're spending in these regions. But also understand that pricing strategy by region is important. You should pay attention to that. And you should not leave money on the table by underpricing for your international regions. The value, the perceived value of the product that you're selling is different in other geographies in the world than what it is in the US. I will take an example of a brand that we currently work with. They sell the specific stuff that they sell at an 18% extra margin in Australia. And it sells great in Australia because of the amount of demand that they can see coming in from Australia and also New Zealand, that they can command that price. So there is, I know, Josh, you wanna get one thing in it, but let me just finish one thing and then I'll let you speak.
You can ignore me. I'm still going to do this. You just ignore me. I'll stand off camera.
There is, what I want you to know, that your products have inbuilt price elasticity within them, which is by region that you need to understand. that how much can you push the price in each region before it starts impacting on conversion, and it may be more than what you think. Now, Josh, go ahead.
From a fulfillment standpoint, from what we've seen, and I tried this, I ran cross-border for Paris Hilton Skincare, and we were trying something in Germany where we were offering free shipping, and it was costly, but the perceived value of free shipping, they say, is equivalent of a 40% discount on a product, just give or take. That may be different for different companies, right? Preeti,
Yeah.
what are you going to
Yeah.
say? Yeah.
I have a similar example. What you're saying is similar to what we saw. So another brand of ours, they increased their prices for international by 30%. 30% increase in price, free shipping across the border. So no shipping costs, free shipping across the border, their conversion doubled.
Wow.
Meaning their international revenue doubled. So a win-win for everybody. The consumers are happy, but the brand is happier.
Yeah, right. We have a question. Yeah.
The question
Go ahead.
is, are using your original US website, how you set a different price for different geographies?
Okay, great question, great question. So if you are using e-commerce platforms such as Shopify or BigCommerce, they give you tools to customize your experience for your international region. So you can create a different experience and you can build a different price for Canada versus for Europe versus for Australia. This is possible in these e-commerce tools if you're using them. If you have a homegrown website, then yes, that takes extra development dollars out of you to figure that out. But e-commerce platforms does give that capability today.
And we've talked about this. We have another session someday about pricing as well, but I'd be careful around too much asymmetry in pricing, because nowadays consumers do see, and Amazon will ding you if they see a lot in market differentiation of the pricing. So they do say around 15, you're saying 18% maximum add-on to price. People expect to pay a little more because they're getting it over, cross border. But there are ways to play with that with the shipping, even if the price remains the same. There's some pieces of that, but I don't want to fully say change it based on IP address, which is what we're talking about, like where they're coming from, the price will change because they figure that out these days. But yeah, it's definitely part of it. Okay.
Okay.
Brands go faster. Okay.
So experience. So this is where I want to talk about creating and I don't mean language, but it is a combination of local currency, local pricing, but also offer DDP shipping or offer different options in that country, not only DDU shipping, but also think about DDP shipping, tracked services, because that gives a good experience to the consumer. So that builds loyalty, brand loyalty with that consumer, and will give you repeat customers.
DDP, Preeti, you got to tell DDP, DDU, delivery.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
explain?
Great. So a lot of times brands offer DDU shipping, which is duty and taxes unpaid, meaning the consumer may be charged duty and taxes off their order at the door upon delivery. That's something that a lot of brands offer because it is easy to offer. You can just use USPS to ship the package, and the consumer has to pay duties and taxes at the door. This may look cheaper in the checkout because USPS, you may have good USPS rates, but the delivery experience here suffers. The other option that you can offer, which we call as the DDP option, where the consumer is paying duties and taxes and shipping, everything all together in advance at the checkout. So they're not paying anything at the door their delivery experience mirrors their domestic delivery experience. So it's nothing different than how they see a domestic order being played out. So from a consumer experience point of view, that plays out better. You will get more return customers by offering a DDP type solution. And I'll
You
pause.
want EDP, yeah. Tony.
This opens a question in my mind, and I don't know if Pretty's systems will manage that, but then you get into issues, which is a changing environment. Hi, Pretty, my name is Anthony or Tony, so nice to meet you. So one of the issues would be when you do a DDP, would you be considered a non-resident importer potentially in that foreign market, and do you have to register?
Yeah, great question. And this is what brings us to the topic that Nadia was also talking about, that they have to switch off European shipments because they don't want to register as an IOSS entity in Europe or have a VAT ID in the UK. There are countries now which are forcing brands to do that. So our system has a solution, or our company has a solution here, which we call as the seller of record solution, where we have registered, we have an IOSS number in the Europe and a VAT ID in the UK, that we would clear these shipments on your behalf with these customs. We would file taxes with them with not a high fee. So with very reasonable costs. So you do not have to register with these tax authorities, because we understand as a small business, you don't have the time, don't have the resources to do this. Moreover, in countries like Australia, you don't have to do it until you reach the threshold. Somebody has to monitor that threshold and only register after the threshold has met. So we take care of that as well.
Could I just ask one other quick?
No, Tony, you cannot. Yes,
There you go.
what do you got?
The other thing I throw in, I wanted to mention the other day too, it's not just a revenue issue, but then you get into what's called admissibility issues. Things like other government agencies, but I think a lot of times the focus is also changing around, like, at what point an equivalent of an FDA or CBP or whatever could say, we're not gonna let that one package. There is no de minimis on certain admissibility requirements. So besides the revenues and the taxes, what about admissibility?
So is meaning, let me understand your question. Meaning you're selling a product that may be restricted in one country. So now you're wondering, how do I figure that out? In which countries can I even sell?
Right. Like the admissibility. So like in the US, hand cream probably is regulated by FDA. And more they're saying we're not going to give a de minimis exemption from meeting. Anyways, but how to manage that at the same time as the tax and the revenues, because.
So let me put it all in one bucket, Preeti, and Nadia, welcome, this is useful for you. So we're talking about everything from denied parties and screening to admissibility, all these headaches. Do you guys manage that? Would a Passport or any of these types of services do that for the company?
Yeah, there are we do that, but there are other companies also that will manage that for you. So compliance, customs, global trade regulations, and because these also change often, the countries wake up to new realities and then they create new rules. So it is our job, and also a lot of other companies' job, to keep on top of all the rules and regulations and make sure that our brands are compliant, or if they are not, then they don't sell to that country. Because what we don't want is a buyer to buy something, pay you, then a package to get shipped to a country and then get stopped or seized at the border. We don't want that. So it's better to not sell to a country than to have that happen. So yeah.
Okay. And Nadia, Wolfgang, you guys ran into this. So does that help answer some of those questions you had in terms of selling, and then also what you have to do after you sell a product?
You want to take it, Wolfgang? Yes, for sure. We're actually getting excited over here because we're like, oh gosh, that's gonna take care of some problems for us if we can actually get connected to Preeti and her company, because that has been our big barrier, especially with Europe, not wanting to get into trying to figure out all the intricacies of the new law, and then also have to worry about the reporting and taxes and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So the way our service works is that we will do it's different from the Avalara service where we won't create a VAT ID on your behalf. We'll just clear on our VAT ID and we will do the tax filing. So that's kind of how it works. Yes.
Can you actually explain this further? I don't want to, because that's called the seller. By the way, this is a term that I hadn't heard of. I know we talked about the merchant of record the other day. If you were in my kind of the basic fundamentals of e-commerce, merchant record, the merchant takes on this is a seller of record, SOR model, which is a new one for me. So, all right, rock and roll, Preeti. Sorry.
No problem. So what in Passport, what we try to help the brands with is build some kind of a cross-border e-commerce flywheel together with them. So we help them optimize their digital experience, which gets them to acquire new customers. Then we help them with a great shipping and delivery experience that will generate repeat buyers. We will also eliminate operational complexities. This is where the seller of record that I will just talk about comes into picture, so that the brand can, or you guys can focus on getting new customers, selling more, and your sales strategy, and don't have to worry about operational headaches or don't have to think about operational strategy. So that's kind of the flywheel we try to create with our brands to eliminate some bandwidth, eliminate some time suck activities, so you can invest your time in growing your business, and we can help you sell more and ship more. So how do we do that? So first, and we know that, sorry, next slide. We know tax compliance is a drain on your bandwidth. We understand that. And I think you guys looked at the merchant of record model also.
Not everybody here, but
okay, let me break it down. Okay, so let me break it down. How the merchant of record model works. So it has three aspects of the model. One is payment processing. So you need somebody to capture payments from those international buyers. So somebody that can give you local payment options. Then you need somebody that can collect tax and remit tax on your behalf to the customs entities. So HMRC and EU, Australian tax authorities. And then you need somebody to handle all the financial transactions, including receipts, refunds, all of that. So MOR model kind of handles all these three things.
Question, Preeti.
Yeah.
You're going to kill me because I keep interrupting you. But a lot of companies are on Shopify.
Yes.
So they're using a global whether they know it or not, they're using global markets, right? And that's a merchant of record model for the most part, right?
Yeah.
The reason why you're using that on Shopify is because Shopify is really a payments company disguised as an e-commerce company. Stripe is their payments provider. They make most of their money on payments. They do not want to give up those payments when you all of a sudden go overseas, and they want to make sure they control all of this whole thing, including the payments process.
Yes, yes, agree.
Sorry.
Okay, now staying on Shopify. There is another way to solve this on Shopify. Within the Shopify ecosystem, there is another way to solve this, which is the Passport seller of record model. So Shopify Payments Gateway will work for you for international, whether you use managed markets globally solution or not. It still works even if you're not using the managed markets globally solution. So what we at Passport have done is we have broken broken apart the payments aspect of the MOR solution and the tax filing aspect of the MOR solution. What we have realized is these days, or in today's times, there are a lot of payment gateway options that brands have that are in the market that are already solved for them. Shopify has an on-platform payment gateway. And as Josh was saying, Shopify is actually a payments company masquerading as a e-commerce platform. Their main business is payments. So, and you have Adyen, you have Stripe, you have other payment providers that can solve the payment puzzle for you. You don't need a payments provider, so to speak, for international. But what you actually need, what is the crux of the problem is, you need a tax filing company that can figure out which countries need tax IDs, which countries do not need tax IDs, which countries have these weird rules like Australia and New Zealand, where you have to first meet a tax threshold before you create a tax ID. So a company that can stay on top of that without coming between your consumer and you. So we are not in between your consumer and you by being the payments provider. So we're not going to take payments from your consumer. They go directly into your account. But we are solving that tax problem for you, meaning when you go through our solution, you will use our tax IDs to clear packages in customs in all these countries. So you don't have to do any tax remittance. We will do that on your behalf. And you're only paying taxes when it's necessary, as opposed to MOR, because MOR is basically paying taxes all the time in every country. So in Australia, if you're not selling 75,000 Australian dollars worth of sales on a yearly basis, you don't have to pay the extra 10% tax. As opposed to the MOR model, you have to pay 10% day one, whether you're selling or not.
Sorry, but tell us what you mean by that, because they're not paying your taxes, the MRR model for you. They're just charging their percentage of all sales, and then,
Yes.
right, and then bundling it in. It says, hey, it's a flat fee, but in fact, they're not actually paying it because they're just charging you the service fee for the MRR, right?
Yes, but your consumer, so let's take Australia's example here. Because the MOR owns the goods, the MOR is the one that the consumer is buying from. So let's say in Australia, on a yearly basis, you are only making 20,000 Australian dollars worth of sales. Let's just take that as an example. Your Australian consumers don't have to pay 10% GST on those sales. So they're just paying the product price. No GST has to be paid. But in the MOR model, from day one, even if you are only making 20,000 Australian dollars worth of sales, your Australian consumers are paying the 10% GST because the MOR owns the product and the MOR is many times over the 75,000 limit. So that
I
is
see. I see. Do you guys get that? That was kind of tough for me. You got
Can
it?
I put it another way?
Yeah, Jim, go.
Are you taking the payment processing of the MOR out?
Yes, yes. So we are using the Shopify native payments gateway to enable cross-border selling for you. So you don't have to use the MOR's payment gateway. You can use Shopify native payment gateway. They have local payment options for you. That means the buyer is buying directly from you and you are getting the payout directly from Shopify. We are not in the middle of that.
And you know the data, you're saying, yeah,
In the event of fraud, though, do you assume the liability if
Good
you
question.
don't have the
That's right. You're exactly right. In the event of fraud, yes. If there is some liability that you have to use, but please be aware, 61% of the fraud is actually friendly fraud, meaning consumers just asking for chargebacks from their credit card companies, and that is not covered in the MOR model.
Okay, so just say that again, but so then if you'd use the SOR model, are you liable for, tell us more. Yeah.
So in the SOR model, yes, you are liable for those chargebacks and the fraud. So you have to adjust your fraud detection with Shopify, which you can.
Right, but but Shopify is still using their payment solution. They also have the fraud already built in. So
Correct.
the SR isn't doing it, but you're still getting the value of the Shopify payments.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Shopify payment, first of all, Shopify payment gateway is just as secure as an MOR payment gateway. Those two payment gateways have the same level of security,
So you're not losing.
have the same amount of fraud checks. All of that is exactly the same. The only thing that is different is the MOR entity saying they are taking responsibility from fraud and protecting you from fraud. But if you read the fine print, they do not protect from chargebacks, which is friendly fraud, which is 61% of the fraud anyway. So you're not actually protected in reality.
One more question, yeah.
Just real quick, Preeti might have an idea, and I mentioned this the other day too. I was kind of thinking of this as I was hearing this. Not that it's something I read, I mean, it's triggered in my mind. So the difference between customs valuation standards, which are outdated, they're for cargo container shipments that goes back to, you know, the Brussels definitions of value and all that, but all these charges, I'm thinking like a customs person now and thinking, are those dutiable charges and what value are you declaring for customs and tariff purposes? Because this is a new frontier that, as I said, I'm just thinking this as I'm hearing this, but I hear a lot of charges that wouldn't fit in the nice, neat. And these are the definitions that are used to charge tariffs to determine if you're over a threshold, whether or not you can use a simplified regime for importation, et cetera. So
Correct.
Standards versus all these kind of charges, are those dutiable or not? Anyways, I'll throw that out there. If that makes sense, Preeti.
Yeah. So we do consider for every region, we do consider what is the, while staying compliant with customs policies, what are the dutiable values that could be used for that region? You're exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get into the actual shipping. Well, this is the last slide of this before we get into the shipping part, but this actually is a great story, even though this is not what your intention is for the slide. You're giving people $2,500 in shipping credit, and that gets into what is your business model? If you're not making money on payments, how are you guys making money? And how does and while you're answering that, how do you, so if I do this model, where am I shipping my products to? Is it a US warehouse? Do I still take care? I still have to ship my product? Tell us about that.
Yeah, good question. So we are not a payments provider, so that's not where we are earning our money from. What we have done is two things. We created this seller of record program, which we broke it apart from the payments gateway, so it is more accessible to the merchants. It gives brands more control. And secondly, we have created a shipping network, a logistics network, which is bespoke to Passport, meaning we have our own first mile providers, middle mile providers, direct relationships with customs brokers, as well as last mile carriers, which a network that we have built throughout the world, which gives us a shipping rate card that you can compare with, a standard service provider out there, DHL, eCommerce, Ascendia, those kinds of providers, and you will find that shipping rate card comparable. That's where we are making our revenue.
I'm going to dive into that a little bit more. So imagine a world where you're trying to ship something, you're a small volume, you're going to get charged a fair amount of money. They have a massive volume that they're able to not only create their own network, but also leverage that volume to get cheaper pricing on other parts of the network globally. They make, let's say, they save this much, but they charge you this much. It's still lower than whatever you had. If you can see my special hands. So they're making money on that part that they're adding on top of the shipping costs, but it's still cheaper because of their volumes than what you would get as a small business. Correct?
Yes, agreed. And well, sorry, Josh, finish your thought.
No, Jim had a question.
Well, isn't that part of Amazon's global value proposition?
Somewhat, but we don't sell, so we don't compete with our brands. Amazon is competing with their brands as well because Amazon is selling as well. We don't compete with our brands. We are
Right, you're just a
providing-
logistics, right?
Well, let me put it a different way. Do you think that your rate card could compare reasonably to fulfillment by Amazon into another market?
I'm
gonna,
cannot say for sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a more, because Amazon is a different discussion on a channel as in terms of like whether you're gonna even use an Amazon. But let's go apples to apples here. On a Shopify,
Yeah.
they have a logistics solution, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they do it globally. What's their pricing structure versus going through you guys?
So a majority of, we are currently serving over 1,000 brands. A majority of them are on Shopify that are using our logistics services, and not the Shopify on platform.
Yeah. My comments always, and you tell us how you feel about this, but there's two major problems for SMB brands going global. One is getting enough money to spend to cut through the noise from a marketing perspective, and the other is getting their shipping to be affordable.
Yeah, so one thing that I wanted to add, sorry, that I thought of earlier was, we also have integrations with over 100 3PLs across the US. So we have figured out the end-to-end logistics with over 100 3PLs across the US. So you benefit from that network that we have already created and the rates that we have already agreed upon with the 3PL, no matter your size. So you could be a small-size brand yourself, but you will benefit from that.
So if you're going to do a cost analysis, one second, if you're going to do a cost analysis, what you'd have to do to analyze this is say, how much does it cost me to have either an Avalara or a duty and tax solution that mitigates my risk on the duties and tax side and helps me manage all that, and my fulfillment costs? How much is that combined? Because that's what I'm getting with Passport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Going back to your original question, what's the physical handling? Somebody picks the goods from my warehouse and takes care of the thing?
Yeah, good question. So yes, we have facilities. We have 3 facilities over the US, West Coast, East Coast, Central. And yes, we have, like I said, integrations with 100 3PL. So the packages would be picked and packed, or the orders would be picked and packed at your 3PL, or if you have a self-fulfill warehouse at that place, we will pick it up from there and bring it to our warehouse. In some cases, we will over-label it if it needs to be over-labeled, and it will get consolidated with all the other shipments from all the brands and get shipped out.
Okay, I have questions, and I want to see if Wolfgang and Nadia have questions. But so just to repeat, so if I'm Wolfgang and Nadia, I've got strong hands and I've got this product and I package it. An order comes in from Brazil. I just get the order in my usual checkout or my usual kind of list of orders. I print out a label. You give me a label. How do I integrate to make sure my label's international? Or am I not even doing that? I'm just having a label that's domestic to your warehouse and you become the buyer for me.
Yeah, so the way it is happening is, this depends on if you're in a 3PL or you're self-fulfilling. So, or if you're using a TMS. We have integrations everywhere.
Wolfgang, what are you guys using? Let's just use you as an example.
Yeah.
And Nadia.
Yeah, we use the postal service. We use Global Post, DHL, FedEx. Like for bigger packages, if somebody, like we have a what do you call it? Climbing studio in London. They buy these hand exercises so they can climb up the mountains and their sports center. For there we ship in bulk. And then it's taxes and duty unpaid. They know and they pay for the taxes and duties. But that's like a bigger shipment. Usually most international shipments are just single, customers. They buy a pack like this, and or our trainers. We kind of went away from the suspension fitness trainers that we make. They're like the T-Rex, like these straps. The packages are about between 2 and 2.5 pounds in weight. they package up in like this size. So usually we ship those domestically in the US, flat rate, postal service flat rate. We're in California, it ships to Florida in 2 days. So that's how we do it. And internationally, between UPS, usually UPS, DHL, and the postal service. That's how this goes.
And that was our question, your same question, Joshua, is how would it work logistically
With
if we had
small, like we don't ship a box full, like for example, when we ship something to Amazon, we put like 25 trainers into one box and ship that to Amazon right here. And they take care of it. But
Is there are you using a TMS software like a Easy Ship or some kind of a label printing software? Or do you have
stamps.com.
Okay, stamps.com is what you're using. I see. Okay, so the way this would work is if you are in a 3PL or if you're using a label printing TMS software, and we have a lot of integrations there also, Passport would be a shipping option in that software with you. So you can create an account with Easy Ship as an example, and Passport will be a shipping option for you in Easy Ship, and you can just print a label. You don't have to worry about commercial invoice. All your printing is a generic label, which is a Passport label, or a first mile label, one of those two situations. So either a generic Passport label or a first mile label, and ship it to our warehouse. Either we come and pick it up in a LTL, less than truckload, or an FTL, full truckload, depending upon how big the shipment is, or it gets shipped to us. And then we take care of the customs documentation, commercial invoices, last mile labels. All of that happens in our facility. I hope that answered both the questions. Josh, you had, and also Nadia, you had, yeah.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, so this would work also with just singular, when we have B2C, when just business to a customer, that would work. We just print out the label, send it off to you, and then you take it from there and get it to the customer.
We have, yes, we have small, we have brands that have small volumes, like all of our business is D2C, meaning B2C. So all of our business is small parcels. And also we work with small brands who are shipping to us. We call it box in a box. So you put 5 of your boxes in one big box, you ship that box to us, we open it, and we take care of your little packages and send them to the consumers where they need to go. Yeah.
Very cool.
I do have one other question here, and that has to do with we talk about these different countries, and we are in and every country basically has different taxes on there. So we are in the process of recreating our website on Shopify, going from BigCommerce to Shopify. And the question that I have is, I'm not worried, for example, for German or for like the language is not a barrier, but it's always just the tax and how to do it. Does it make sense? So in the past, we always just had, our American website. And if you want to buy some, if you can read it, you can buy it.
Yes.
I don't even care if you can't read it as long as you buy it. But do we have to create a special, I don't want to
you don't have to.
DE or something.
You don't have to. You don't have to create a special website. Our app is compatible with Shopify. So we have a Shopify app. You use that. It calculates duties and taxes in real time for your German consumers during checkout. You can use that, or you can, as we were talking earlier, flat shipping, bake in some amount of our flat shipping. That is also possible. But yes, you don't have to build a new website.
So in that regards, since you guys mentioned that, free shipping is attractive to people and they think of it higher, would the system smell that this is some guy from Germany? And when they see the price it's not Deutschmark anymore, it's the euro. When they see the price in euro, but they know it smells from the IP address that they're in Germany, would the system then show them all the taxes included at the price? Or would that be something, for example, like if you buy something in Europe, in most countries except for the US, when you buy something, what you see the price, that's what you pay. It's usually taxes included to begin with. If you go in a restaurant in Germany, you go to McDonald's, it costs €5 for a Big Mac, it's €5. It's not €5.94,
Right.
whatever it is. The price you see is the price you pay. So will they see, because again, Germany has different tax rate
Yes.
than France or England.
The answer is
They all have-
yes, Wolfgang. But Preeti, tell us more why the answer is yes.
Yeah, so that experience is 100% possible in Shopify without creating an expansion store in your main store to your German consumers. You can offer tax inclusive pricing in euros. It is possible.
Let me ask you beyond that question too, more specific to Wolfgang's question before Wolfgang asks another question. In Shopify or in your checkout, you guys don't mess with the checkout then. You're just or you do, because the province, for example, in Germany, you need all the provinces listed. That needs to be adjusted. That you just use the Shopify existing solution for that?
So the place where we come into the picture in the Shopify checkout is exactly that. If you want to present live duties and taxes to your consumers, use our app to present those amounts in that currency to your consumers. The payment is still happening through the Shopify payment gateway, just that shipping, duties, taxes, all combined is 13 euros. That you can use our app to present that to your consumers. That's where our app comes into picture.
But will the shopper then see, I don't know, Hans in Germany see that I charge, 15 euros for shipping, or will they just see at the end the total is 60 euros and it's free shipping?
Yeah, so both of those experiences are possible. We can say tax inclusive pricing and in checkout show free to them. So all they're paying is everything all inclusive in the product price. That's possible. And for Canada, we can make it such that they see provincial taxes in the real time in checkout, because Canada has provincial taxes. A person coming from Ontario is seeing different than a person coming from Manitoba. So yes, both of those experiences are possible.
Are you seeing different levels of conversion when people show the breakdown of the charges versus just an all-inclusive?
Ooh, great question. Yes. So, and this depends on the region. UK and Europe, locally, the consumers are used to seeing tax inclusive pricing. When they see a product price, like Wolfgang was saying, they see €5 at the checkout, they are paying €5, not $5.94. They are used to that experience. So we have worked with brands where we built tax inclusive pricing specifically in UK and Europe for those brands, and their conversion always goes up. It always gets better conversion.
Can that Can that exist throughout the site so that it's not just on checkout, but they're seeing the price?
Yes. From landing page to the checkout page, consistent experience. Exactly.
What we're talking about there? Yo, we got a question.
Does this passport deal with drop shipping?
Joshua, could you guys repeat the question? It's hard to hear.
Yes. Can you also do this with drop shipping?
So we currently do not have dropshipping partnerships, but please reach out and we can build a partnership. That's not a big deal. Yeah, we can do it.
Just to understand what we mean by drop shipping. So, if you still have a website that has products, you just don't own the products yourself, but you're putting on your website. To you guys, does it matter? It doesn't matter. It does, I guess, because the shipper could be 17 different shippers.
Yeah. So we do have to have instead of a 3PL, we're kind of going to have an integration with the drop shipper, but it is possible, is what I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
Could I bring on that? There could be possible IP issues where companies don't want you to sell into certain markets.
Right.
Yes, possible. You don't want to sell to, I don't know, Singapore. Don't want to sell there. Yeah.
Because you'll have products that people are very happy to have drop shippers in the US, but they don't want you to cannibalize their market, let's say in Zimbabwe. Like, okay, well now you got a conflict of that. So
yeah, I've sold internationally through drop shipping through Printify or Printful.
Yeah.
The taxes are.
Yeah, she said she sold your name?
Oh, sorry.
Dion has sold using Printful or Printify. In those cases, though, the taxes and duties, I mean, that stuff, it can be a lot, but do you guys even get involved in that? I mean, do you, I mean,
So,
do you deal with that?
yeah, so the way this would happen is the checkout would use our app to calculate duties and taxes in real time.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, okay. But you guys, yeah, would use your app, but ultimately it sounds like it's not gonna play out well. I mean, Printify and Printful have their own mechanism for fulfillment.
We have to be integrated with them for them to use us as their logistics provider in those countries.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
not there today, but that can happen tomorrow. Yes, that's
Okay.
how it will work. If it, yeah.
okay. And just to be clear, there are other solutions out there. We're not here to, I mean, I have no relationship financially with Passport. I just know Preeti is really knowledgeable, and Passport seems like a really cool solution. There are other solutions out there, have varying different degrees of support. But you know, I think it's really helpful to know those details. Any other questions or other things before we, any other questions here too? Or Nadia and Wolfgang? No.
I think
No, it's been excellent.
We want you to, again, if you want products, now your guys' margins, so you guys make the products here. Can we talk a little bit about your margins, or?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
because
Yeah,
the shipping, it's-
that's the problem that we are facing, is that, you know, we manufacture here in the US using US military webbing, and
it's cutting out. Your connection's cutting out, Wolfgang. Can you say that again?
Sorry, the
Much better.
like these hand exercises, this is all made right here in the US. But the other trainers, we have US military webbing, but there are also some hardware is globally sourced. But it all gets shipped here in boxes, and we assemble it right here and make them, manufacture them here in the US, in California, in the San Francisco Bay Area of all places. And so our profit margin goes, you know, meet, and gets smaller and smaller. So that is a bit of a problem for us, because we're competing against, you know, quite a few other companies, and pretty much all the other companies make these things entirely in China, usually in China, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And you know, there is quite a bit of, it's labor intense to put those together. So our profit margin is always skinny. So we have this issue always having some kind of a middleman in between us making the parts and then to the end consumer. The more middlemans are in there with their hands open, and usually they have big hands,
Yeah.
it becomes a problem.
Okay.
So we have to watch this from our end. But you know, I guess our model here still is that the profit margin is smaller, but we make more, and because we make more, we manufacture. As we manufacture more, our profit goes up, because you know, you can only eat so much a day, and your rent is only that much, or your mortgage is only that much a day. So once that is all covered, the rest is all good.
Okay, well, we'll buy your products.
Awesome.
Before we move on, I want to just ask one question, Preeti, because a lot of people have this question. Let's talk about social commerce. If I'm selling stuff on TikTok and Instagram, in the case of TikTok, most markets don't have, except for Southeast Asia, China, outside the US, doesn't, and the UK, don't have TikTok shop set up, so not a problem. Because I'm just going to send them to my Shopify store anyway from the TikTok. But do you guys integrate into like a shop, an Instagram shop, or do you work with any of those types of platforms?
Not today. It's something that we have been working on. So currently what our brands do is just what you said. They send those consumers to their Shopify store, and that's where the orders are captured. But yes, that's something that we've been trying to work on. Yeah.
So just so I explained that too, because that's something I think a lot of our companies overlook, which is you now have TikTok. You have 5 minutes. Okay. You have TikTok. You've got a great audience overseas. You figured out there's 500 people who follow you and like you and comment on you in the UK every single day. Great. But how do you sell to them? Well, TikTok, let's say, or Instagram shop kind of sucks and people don't really use it. And TikTok shop is not really set up. Well, it is in the UK, but it's not set up for cross-border. Okay, but you can send them at the moment they hit buy, they go over to the buy, not to the website, but the specific product page on your Shopify store. And then you still get to use the leveraging of these types of logistics solutions. The downside of that is there's a massive amount of friction for people who's using their one thumb to buy, and now all of a sudden they got to go and put something in. They're just very few people are going to do it. They just want to buy whatever's available. But when you do get them there, you get to leverage this type of select scenario, the fulfillment, the shipping, the knowledge and the data that you have on that consumer. So it's important to have that. It's just it's something worth trying for some of your companies. And when they say, oh, I don't have a globally enabled solution for the UK, but I have 20,000 followers in the UK. Okay, well, then let's just take a percentage of that and try to drive them to a site that we now can enable for cross-border. Right, so that's one thing to say. Again, because they'll say to you, I have no visitors from the UK coming to my website, but I've got 5,000 followers in the UK. Okay, so the juice is over in the social. Can you get them over to your website? Yeah.
When would TikTok know enough from that redirection to get a little bit of a commission on that, or?
No, TikTok has no, you don't pay any commission to TikTok if you're sending them over. Granted, TikTok has the ability to suppress and try to get you to not do that, but there's nothing wrong with doing it. They don't say it. That's partially, they don't have a problem with it because it really is a lot of friction. There's not a lot of people who are doing it.
Okay.
Now, Amazon now has an integration into TikTok, so you could use your Amazon and do that, but we'll talk about that at another time. Okay, Preeti, anything you want to leave us with?
Use the 2,500 credits that we are giving you. Yeah.
Okay, good. And then, of course, you've got my QR code, but let's go to Preeti's QR code. Hold on. Where is it? Did I lose it?
Up. You have to go up.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, there's the QR code for the credit, but you guys can also email me on that or Preeti. And then here's Preeti's info right there. That's QR code. I'll put it up for a few seconds. And then, oh, I see Wolfgang's got it. And then the big one, though, get in shape, get your hands strong. Nadia, do you guys kids use your equipment? Yeah, you're on mute, but I hear that's a yes.
Yes, they do. Yes, they
I've
do.
been trying to get them to get their kids to do videos of them using the product. Do you think anybody here, just say, anybody here would be willing to, or know anybody who's in shape that wants to create videos of their product and help them sell it on social? We're trying to get more people to promote their products. If you do, let them know or let me know. I'll put in touch. We're working on that. And then I'm going to close out with a couple of slides. I want to show you guys about two programs that I'm doing. One, I'm doing a program right now on doing a program called Round Robin for SBDCs, where we're going to have 4 companies, no more than 4 companies at a time. They're going to have 15 minutes with each expert, and they're going to round robin on a Zoom call, where we did this for Export Tech and really well in Michigan and Maine, I believe. Website platform optimization, they'll have 15 minutes with an expert there. Then they'll go to an Amazon expert, then it go SEO and digital expert, and a social commerce expert, 15 minutes each, and then they're out. They're experts in it. Of course, they probably have services that they sell, but I know them well, so they're there to educate, but they're not advisors, so you don't have to pay them, and they don't get hourly stuff. But they can always have follow-up calls. I don't care. I don't get involved in that. But those 15 minutes are going to be educational. And it worked really well. If you want to get in touch with me, let me know. And I think I actually set up a website for it. What did I do? It's called Grow Big Round Robin, I think it's called. And then the other thing I was going to say is, if some of you haven't seen, I have a whole portal that we've created on educating people on global expansion. We have roadmaps as part of the Grow Big initiative. All of it's free. It's at growbig.org/programs. We have Amazon Global Growth. Anything about cross-border is in there. All your clients can use this. How to sell into Southeast Asia through Hong Kong. How do you sell into Europe, Middle East, multiple channels, cross-border payment issues. We talked about the MRR model, but we've got to get Passport in there for the SOR model. Everything you want to know around global financing and grants, Latin America, et cetera. All of these are free. And I'll give you an example, like, for example, selling to anywhere. There are different roadmaps. This has been 8 years of work. We built this. I'm not promoting the merchant of record model, but just to give you an example, merchant of record model is just one module, and each module has the slides that go through all the issues you'd want. And then they have actually some of their insights, and then they have video of somebody going through those slides. So you don't have to watch a 45-minute review of that. Again, it's growbig.org/programs, growbig.org. You can just go to growbig.org and you can see it on the training portal. But we have all the stuff we've built out. It's all self-service. And then we do some live events where people go through it. And it's been really good. And then also everything we're seeing right now in real time is on GrowBig on youtube.com/growbig.org. I've already put up yesterday's in an edited format with subtitles as well here, but then you also have the live videos are already there. So you can go see what we're talking about right now. It's already on. So if you ask me, like, do you have the recording? It's already up there on YouTube. But I am happy to talk to anybody as well directly. So with that, that's all my spiel on all that stuff. And yeah, if you have clients that want to talk, I love doing this. And I'll, of course, get in touch with these folks too. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Preeti. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you,
Joshua. Thanks,
Joshua.
Preeti.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
all.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.